In the heart of the Zorvian galaxy, a council of elder aliens gathered in a grand chamber, shimmering with light from their star-powered windows. Each elder had lived for centuries and believed themselves wiser than the universe itself. They were the rulers of the Zorvian people, known across galaxies for their intelligence, beauty, and control over life sciences. Yet, today, they laughed at one of their own. Princess Nira, the youngest member of the royal family, sat quietly in a corner of the chamber. She was known throughout Zorvian worlds for her radiant silver hair and sapphire eyes that glimmered like distant stars. But despite her beauty, there was one flaw the elders could not forgive. She was infertile. The council considered this a weakness, a failure for someone of royal blood. "Perhaps we should send her to the humans," one elder said, a smirk curling across his sharp features. "Let them try to entertain a princess who cannot carry life. It will amuse us greatly." The other elders laughed, a sound like the ringing of crystal bells in the vast chamber. Nira's ears twitched, but she did not protest. She had grown accustomed to the council's cruel jokes and dismissive glances. Still, something stirred inside her, a quiet defiance that even she did not fully understand. "You mean as a visitor?" another elder asked. "Send her to Earth?" "Yes," the first replied, folding his long fingers. "Let the humans think they are worthy of hosting a Zorvian princess. It will be a lesson in their place in the galaxy." And so the decision was made. Nira was to be sent to Earth, a small blue planet far from the Zorvian homeworld. The council expected her arrival to be awkward and embarrassing. Humans, in their limited understanding of the universe, would fumble and fail to care for a being as sophisticated as Nira. Nira's transport was prepared. A sleek ship, silver and reflective, waited for her outside the palace. Its interior hummed with quiet energy, designed to keep her comfortable for the long journey. As she stepped inside, she did not feel fear or sadness. Instead, a curious thrill ran through her. Perhaps she would find something new. Perhaps the humans would surprise her. The journey through hyperspace was swift. Stars stretched into lines as the ship raced across the void, carrying Nira farther from her home and closer to the unknown. She watched the stars and thought about what awaited her. Humans were supposed to be weak, simple creatures. She had heard stories from the council about their clumsy attempts at space travel, their small colonies and their fragile bodies. Yet she also felt a strange pull toward them, a sense of life and energy that the council often dismissed. When the ship finally broke through the atmosphere of Earth, Nira found herself in a small research colony. The colony was modest, surrounded by green fields and shallow rivers that reflected the sun. The buildings were clean and functional, constructed with a mix of metal and local materials. There were no grand palaces here, no ornate halls or hovering gardens. Just humans living and working in harmony with their surroundings. A man approached the landing site, his movements careful but confident. He wore a simple uniform, marked with the insignia of the colony. His hair was dark, his skin tanned from long days outside, and his eyes shone with curiosity and intelligence. His name was Leo. "You must be Nira," he said, bowing slightly. "Welcome to Earth. We are honored to have you." Nira studied him. He was not the fearful, trembling human she had expected. Instead, he seemed steady, calm, and genuinely interested in her. She could feel his kindness, and it made her pause. No one in the council had ever treated her like this. They had always whispered about her failures, laughed at her mistakes, and reminded her of her infertility. Here, a human treated her with respect. "Yes," she replied, her voice soft but clear. "I am Nira. Thank you for welcoming me." Leo smiled. "Please follow me. I will show you the colony and introduce you to our people." As they walked through the colony, Nira noticed the humans working together, sharing tools, and speaking to each other with warmth. There was laughter, curiosity, and a strong sense of community. It was different from the Zorvian society she knew, where every action was calculated and every word measured. Here life seemed free, unguarded, and full of potential. Nira could not help but ask questions. How do you grow your food? How do you build your shelters? How do you care for your children? Leo answered patiently, explaining everything in simple terms. He showed her the gardens where humans grew fruits and vegetables without advanced machinery. He led her to the water systems powered by natural energy and explained how they purified water for the colony. Every answer was met with fascination from Nira. She realized that humans, though limited in technology compared to the Zorvians, were clever, adaptive, and creative. As the day passed, Nira began to understand why the council considered humans amusing. They were small, fragile, and untrained for galactic politics. Yet she also saw their strength, their ability to survive, to care for one another, and to innovate with whatever they had. By evening, the sun dipped behind the distant hills, casting golden light across the colony. Nira and Leo sat near a small pond, watching the reflection of the sky shimmer on the water. She felt a strange sense of peace. For the first time in her life, she was not being judged or mocked. She was being seen, truly seen, for who she was. Leo turned to her. "You must miss your home," he said gently. Nira nodded. "I do, but this place, it is different. There is a life here that I did not expect." "You are welcome here," Leo replied. "You are our guest, but you are also our friend." The word friend touched her. She had never been called that by the council. Friends were rare among Zorvians, often temporary and full of politics. But here, among humans, friendship felt simple and real. As night fell, Nira returned to her quarters in the colony. The room was modest but comfortable, with a large window looking out at the stars. She lay on the soft bed thinking about the day. The council had sent her as a joke, expecting humiliation. Yet she had not been humiliated. She had been welcomed, respected, and even admired. A spark of something new ignited within her. Perhaps the council had been wrong. Perhaps humans were not weak. Perhaps they were capable of greatness that even Zorvians could not see. Nira's thoughts drifted to the future. She did not yet know what it would bring, but for the first time she felt hope. She felt possibility, and deep inside she wondered if this unexpected journey could change not only her life, but the lives of both her people and the humans she had come to respect. The stars outside her window shone brightly, endless and full of secrets. Nira knew that her story was only beginning. What had started as a cruel joke might become something far greater, and for the first time she smiled not at the council, but at the universe itself. The sun rose over the human colony, painting the fields with shades of gold and green. Nira stood at the edge of the settlement, observing the humans going about their morning tasks. Farmers carried baskets of vegetables, children played near the water, and scientists moved between labs with focused energy. The colony felt alive, full of purpose, and it amazed her every day. Leo appeared beside her, holding 2 cups of warm tea. "Good morning, Nira," he said with a gentle smile. "Would you like to join me for breakfast?" Nira accepted, taking a sip of the unfamiliar drink. It was earthy and soothing, unlike anything she had tasted on Zorvia. "Thank you, Leo," she replied. "The humans truly know how to enjoy simple things." He laughed softly. "We do our best. Life here is not easy, but we make it meaningful." As they walked together, Leo began explaining the work he and the other humans were doing in the colony. They were studying renewable energy, experimenting with new crops, and improving medical treatments. Despite their limited technology compared to Zorvian science, humans were resourceful and inventive. Nira listened intently, asking questions and taking notes in her mind. "I am curious," she said after a while. "Humans are physically weaker than Zorvians, but your minds are sharp. You adapt quickly, learn from mistakes, and find solutions where others would fail. How do you do this?" Leo shrugged. "We survive because we have to. Our world can be harsh, and we cannot rely on anyone else to solve our problems. Each of us carries responsibility for the community. That makes us think differently, act creatively, and work together." Nira considered this carefully. On Zorvia, every action was precise and calculated. Failures were rare because they were avoided at all costs. Yet humans, in their imperfection, produced results that were sometimes greater than planned. There was strength in their flexibility, and it fascinated her. Over the following days, Nira spent more time with Leo and the colony. She helped in the gardens, learning how humans cultivated plants without advanced machinery. She observed their experiments, asking questions about methods and results. Each interaction revealed new layers of human intelligence, courage, and kindness. One afternoon, Leo led Nira to the colony's lab. The room was filled with equipment that hummed and clicked, filled with strange liquids and glowing screens. "I want to show you something," he said. "This is how we experiment with biology and medicine. We may not be Zorvian-level advanced, but we try to understand life and improve it." Nira moved closer, her eyes scanning the instruments. "It is impressive," she said. "Your techniques are simple but effective. You focus on understanding the principles and observing results carefully. Zorvian scientists often forget that observation can be as powerful as theory." Leo smiled. "We learn from trying, failing, and trying again. You humans call it trial and error. It can be frustrating, but it also teaches us resilience." For the first time, Nira felt an idea stir in her mind. She had always accepted her infertility as an unchangeable fact. The council had reminded her countless times that she could never produce life. Yet watching humans experiment, adapt, and solve problems, she wondered if there could be another way. Over the next weeks, Nira and Leo grew closer. They shared meals, stories, and quiet moments under the stars. Nira discovered that Leo had a calm patience that balanced her curiosity. He listened to her questions without judgment and encouraged her to explore her ideas freely. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Nira and Leo sat on a hill overlooking the colony. The sky was painted with shades of orange and purple, and the first stars began to appear. Nira felt a warmth in her heart that she had never felt before. "Leo," she said softly, "do you think it is possible to change something that everyone believes is impossible?" He looked at her thoughtful. "It depends on what you mean. Sometimes what is impossible is only impossible because no one has tried. If you are willing to work, experiment, and keep learning, you might find a solution that no one else has seen." Nira nodded, her mind racing. Could she? A princess told she could never have children discover a way to create life? The thought seemed reckless but also exhilarating. She felt a spark of hope that had been dormant for years. "I want to try," she said finally. "I want to see if there is a way." Leo reached out and took her hand. "Then I will help you. Whatever you need, we will find a way together." Their bond deepened as they began small experiments. Nira studied human biology and compared it with Zorvian science, taking careful notes of similarities and differences. Leo provided guidance, helping her understand human limitations and strengths. They worked long hours, often late into the night, sharing ideas and discoveries. One night, as they analyzed samples under the lab's lights, Nira paused. "Leo, this is unusual," she said. "I never thought I could combine human and Zorvian science in this way." "It feels like creating something entirely new." Leo nodded. "It is unusual, but that is the beauty of learning. Sometimes the most important discoveries come from unexpected combinations." Nira smiled, feeling a sense of purpose she had never known. For the first time, she was not defined by her infertility or the council's judgment. She was defined by her curiosity, her courage, and her willingness to try something others considered impossible. Days turned into weeks, and their work continued. Nira's admiration for humans grew, and she began to see their value in a new light. They were not fragile, as the council claimed. They were resilient, clever, and capable of greatness. She also began to see the council's arrogance more clearly. They had underestimated humans and, in doing so, underestimated her. One evening, while walking through the colony's gardens, Nira paused to watch the children play. Their laughter was bright and pure, and she felt a pang of longing. She had never seen Zorvian children with such freedom and joy. On her world, children were trained from birth to excel in every skill, leaving little room for play. Here the humans nurtured both mind and spirit, and it was beautiful. "Leo," she said, "I want to help life grow. I want to create something that will bring joy, hope, and unity, even if the council says it is impossible." Leo looked at her, admiration in his eyes. "Then we will do it together. You have the knowledge of your people, and we have the creativity of ours. Nothing can stop us if we work carefully." Their partnership grew stronger. They spent hours in discussion, comparing data, testing theories, and learning from mistakes. Nira discovered that human science, though simpler than Zorvian methods, had an unexpected elegance. Humans thought in ways that Zorvians never considered, finding solutions that were creative, practical, and effective. One night, Nira looked at Leo and smiled. "I have never felt this way before," she said. "You have shown me that humans are not weak, and that I am not defined by what others say. We can do something important together." Leo returned her smile. "I feel the same. You have taught me about courage, curiosity, and seeing beyond what others expect. Together we can achieve more than anyone imagined." As the stars shone above them, Nira felt a sense of purpose fill her. What had started as a joke from the council was becoming an opportunity. She would learn, experiment, and perhaps against all odds, accomplish something that would surprise the universe. For the first time, Nira believed in herself. And for the first time, she saw humans not as fragile beings but as equals, capable of remarkable things. The bond between her and Leo had grown into trust, respect, and something deeper, a shared mission to defy expectations and explore the possibilities of life itself. The future was uncertain, but Nira no longer feared it. She had allies, knowledge, and determination. And as she gazed at the stars, she felt the spark of hope grow brighter. Perhaps this small colony, these humans, and her own courage could change not just her destiny but the destiny of many worlds. The council had sent her as a joke. But Nira knew that she would not be the fool. She would prove that even the impossible could be achieved with curiosity, courage, and partnership. The bond between Nira and Leo was no longer just friendship. It was trust, respect, and a shared vision. Together, they would explore new ideas, challenge old beliefs, and discover the power that comes when two worlds meet and work as one. And as the night deepened, the colony slept peacefully, unaware that the seeds of a miracle had already begun to grow. The morning sun cast a soft glow over the human colony. Nira walked through the gardens, her silver hair reflecting the light. Each plant, each blade of grass seemed alive in a way that Zorvian technology could not replicate. She paused to touch a flowering bush, feeling its warmth and resilience. The humans had taught her to see life in a new way, not as something controlled, but as something nurtured and encouraged. Leo appeared from the lab with a small tray in his hands. "Good morning, Nira," he said, smiling. "I have some samples we need to review. Are you ready?" Nira nodded. "Yes, let us continue our work." They entered the lab where the equipment hummed quietly. The room was filled with vials, microscopes, and screens displaying biological patterns. For weeks, Nira and Leo had been studying human and Zorvian biology, searching for ways to understand the nature of life in both species. Their experiments were careful and methodical, but something had shifted in Nira. She no longer felt constrained by the limitations the Zorvian Council had imposed on her. She felt possibility. "Leo," Nira said as they examined a series of cells under the microscope, "I think I am seeing something unusual. There may be a way to combine human and Zorvian genetics to allow life to grow where I thought it impossible." Leo leaned closer, studying the patterns. "Are you serious? This could be revolutionary." Nira nodded, her eyes shining with excitement. "It may work. It is delicate and it requires precision. But if we succeed, it could prove that the impossible is only impossible until someone tries." For days, they worked together, often late into the night. Nira was meticulous, her hands steady and her mind sharp. Leo assisted with human techniques, while she applied Zorvian knowledge. Together they analyzed, experimented, and adjusted, learning from every small success and failure. During one quiet evening, Nira paused and looked at Leo. "Do you believe that life can come from what was once thought impossible?" she asked softly. Leo thought for a moment. "I do now. You have shown me that courage and curiosity can achieve more than rules or tradition ever could. Sometimes the most amazing discoveries come from daring to try." Nira smiled, feeling hope stir deep within her. She had always believed the council when they said she could never have children. She had accepted their judgment, thinking her life would be empty in that way. But now, with Leo's help, she felt the spark of a miracle growing. Finally, after countless tests and careful preparation, Nira attempted a procedure she had only theorized before. She combined human and Zorvian biological material in a carefully controlled environment. The cells reacted in ways neither Zorvian science nor human understanding had predicted. They began to grow, adapt, and flourish. Life had begun where it was thought impossible. Nira's hands trembled with excitement. "Leo," she whispered, "it is happening." "Life, it is possible." Leo's eyes widened. "I knew it. This is beyond anything I imagined. Nira, you have done something extraordinary." For the first time, Nira felt a true sense of accomplishment. The council had sent her as a joke, expecting failure and embarrassment. Instead, she had succeeded where no one had dared to try. The impossible had been achieved through courage, collaboration, and belief in possibilities. As days passed, Nira's body changed. She realized she was pregnant. The news was a quiet miracle, but it carried enormous consequences. The Zorvian Council would never have anticipated this outcome. They had assumed her visit to Earth would bring humiliation, not hope in life. Nira kept the news close, confiding only in Leo. "I cannot tell them yet," she said. "The council will not understand. They will see this as a challenge or a threat." "We must be careful," Leo nodded. "We will protect this. The child will be a symbol of what can happen when courage meets possibility. Nothing else matters right now." As Nira's pregnancy progressed, she began to feel stronger and more confident. The humans of the colony admired her dedication, unaware of the true nature of her condition. They saw her as a curious, intelligent visitor eager to learn and share knowledge. Nira found joy in their company and support. However, word eventually reached the Zorvian Council. Their communication devices picked up signals from Nira's ship and the colony. When the news arrived, the council was stunned. Their expectations had been completely overturned. "Impossible," one elder exclaimed, slamming a clawed hand against the table. "She has created life. After all our warnings, she has succeeded?" Another elder growled. "Humans? How could humans contribute to a miracle we deemed impossible?" The council convened an emergency session. They debated, argued, and even questioned the accuracy of the reports. No one could explain how Nira, the infertile princess, had managed to carry a child. Their arrogance had blinded them to the possibility that humans, with their simple creativity and resilience, could achieve what even Zorvians considered impossible. Meanwhile, on Earth, Nira and Leo continued their preparations. They knew the council's reaction could be swift and severe. They made plans to ensure Nira's safety and the safety of the child. But even as danger loomed, Nira felt a sense of pride. She had proven herself not to the council but to herself. She had challenged expectations and succeeded. One night, as Nira rested under the stars, she spoke softly to Leo. "Do you realize what we have done?" Leo nodded, holding her hand. "Yes, this is more than a miracle. It is proof that courage, curiosity, and collaboration can overcome even the greatest limitations. You have changed what the universe thought was possible." Nira smiled, her heart full. "And it is only the beginning. We must be careful, but we must also believe in what we have created. Life has found a way, even against the odds." The colony continued to thrive around them. Humans worked, played, and cared for one another, unaware that history was quietly being rewritten. Nira felt connected to them in a way she had never felt connected to her own people. They were not weak, as the council had claimed. They were capable, brave, and full of potential. As the months passed, Nira's pregnancy advanced. She and Leo continued their research, learning more about the fusion of human and Zorvian biology. Each day brought new discoveries, new hope, and new challenges. They knew the council would demand answers, but they also knew that the child represented something far greater than fear or authority. One evening, Nira looked at Leo, her eyes filled with determination. "When the council comes, we must stand firm. This child is proof of what can happen when courage meets possibility. We cannot let fear or arrogance destroy what we have created." Leo squeezed her hand. "We will face them together. This is not just about survival. It is about showing that humans, and you, Nira, are capable of greatness beyond what anyone imagined." The stars above the colony seemed brighter than ever, as if celebrating the miracle that had taken root. Nira felt a deep sense of peace and purpose. She was no longer the princess defined by her infertility. She was a pioneer, a bridge between species and a symbol of hope. The council had sent her as a joke. They had expected failure, humiliation, and weakness. Instead, Nira had achieved what no one thought possible. She had created life, defied expectation, and shown that humans, with their ingenuity and courage, were worthy partners in the universe. And as she rested under the quiet sky, feeling the life growing within her, Nira knew that the future would be shaped by bravery, curiosity, and the power of the human spirit. The miracle had begun, and nothing could stop it. The Zorvian Council's chambers were silent as Nira's ship approached the palace. The elders waited, their expressions sharp, eyes filled with suspicion and anger. They had expected her return as a defeated princess, humiliated and empty-handed. They had never imagined what they were about to see. Nira's ship landed smoothly in the palace courtyard. The sleek silver vessel reflected the bright lights of the city above. Guards lined the perimeter, tense and alert, awaiting any sign of trouble. Nira stepped out, her posture steady, her sapphire eyes shining with determination. In her arms she carried the child, a small being with a soft glow, a mixture of human vitality and Zorvian elegance. The council gasped as she entered the grand hall. Some elders whispered in disbelief. Others stared, frozen in shock. Nira's presence alone was confident and commanding, but the child she held defied all expectations. The council had expected a joke, an embarrassment. Instead, they faced a miracle. Princess Nira, the eldest elder said, his voice strained with control. "What is this?" Nira took a step forward. "This," she said, holding the child slightly higher, "is life. Life that neither the council nor anyone else believed possible. I have returned as promised, not empty-handed, but with proof that courage, curiosity, and collaboration can achieve what was once thought impossible." The room fell silent. The elders could not speak. They had studied Zorvian science for centuries and human science for decades, yet no one had ever imagined that the fusion of the two could create life. Their arrogance, their assumptions about weakness and superiority had blinded them. Now those assumptions lay shattered before them. One elder stepped forward, his voice trembling. "But humans, they are not capable of such things. How could this be?" Nira's gaze was steady. "Humans are capable of more than you believe. Their minds are sharp, their creativity unmatched in unexpected ways. This child is proof that strength and greatness come in many forms. It is not weakness that defines a species, but courage, determination, and the willingness to explore the unknown." Some elders murmured among themselves, their pride wounded. Others simply stared, unsure how to respond. Nira's words cut through the tension like a blade, yet carried not anger, but truth. She was no longer the powerless princess they had dismissed. She was a symbol of what could happen when the universe was approached with respect and humility. The child cooed softly, a sound that seemed to fill the chamber with warmth. Nira smiled gently. "This child represents more than me, more than the humans. It represents the potential of cooperation, understanding, and the courage to challenge assumptions. I have returned not to confront the council, but to show that the future can be brighter if we are willing to embrace possibilities we once ignored." The council deliberated in hushed tones. Some felt fear, believing that the child represented a challenge to Zorvian authority. Others felt awe, recognizing the undeniable truth of Nira's achievement. The room shifted between tension and wonder, unsure how to reconcile centuries of pride with the undeniable proof before them. One elder, the most rigid of all, finally spoke. "Princess Nira, this is unprecedented. We do not know how to respond. The council believed that your visit to Earth would end in humiliation. Instead, you have returned with a child. You have defied all expectations and proven our assumptions wrong." Nira held the child closer, her voice calm yet firm. "I did not do this to defy you. I did this to explore what is possible, to learn, to show that life, even when deemed impossible, can thrive when approached with courage and curiosity. The humans are not inferior. They are partners in understanding, creators in their own right, and this child is the beginning of something greater, a bridge between our worlds." The chamber remained silent. The elders stared at the child, their minds struggling to process the reality of what had happened. The Zorvian Council had always believed in control, in superiority, and in the perfection of their own kind. But here was evidence that the universe had more surprises than they could imagine. Nira continued, her voice steady. "I ask not for praise, but for acknowledgement. This child represents the future we can create if we learn to respect one another, if we are willing to combine knowledge, courage, and creativity. Humans have proven themselves worthy, and I have proven that limitations can be challenged." A young elder stepped forward, his expression softening. "Princess Nira, you have done what no Zorvian has thought possible. You have changed the way we see humans and perhaps the way we see ourselves. This child is extraordinary. You have shown bravery, vision, and strength beyond expectation." Nira nodded, her eyes meeting his. "Thank you. That is all I ask. Let this child be a reminder that assumptions can be challenged, and that greatness is not limited to one species. Together, we can achieve far more than we ever imagined alone." The council began to shift. What had been disbelief and anger slowly turned into reflection. Some elders, proud yet humbled, recognized the truth in Nira's words. Others remained skeptical, clinging to old beliefs, but even they could not deny the miracle before them. Nira placed the child in a soft cradle on a pedestal at the center of the chamber. The small being's glow illuminated the room, casting gentle light across the faces of the council. The elders could see the life, the potential, and the unity that it symbolized. This child, Nira said, her voice filled with quiet strength, is proof that respect, collaboration, and courage are more powerful than arrogance, pride, or fear. The humans have shown what is possible. I have shown what can be achieved when we embrace hope instead of judgment. A silence followed, heavy but not uncomfortable. The elders looked at the child, at Nira, and at each other. They realized that they had underestimated the universe, underestimated humans, and underestimated their own capacity to learn. Finally, the eldest elder spoke, his voice measured. "Princess Nira, you have returned not as a failure, but as a teacher. You have shown us what we could not see before. The council must reconsider its assumptions, its judgments, and its arrogance. This child is indeed a miracle." Nira inclined her head respectfully. "Thank you. Let this moment mark a new beginning. Let it remind us that strength comes in many forms and that courage, curiosity, and collaboration can overcome even the greatest limitations." The elders nodded slowly, some still in awe, others in quiet acceptance. The council, once rigid and proud, had been challenged by the courage and ingenuity of one princess and the humans she had come to respect. The child, a symbol of life and unity, had rewritten what was thought impossible. Outside the chamber, Leo stood quietly, watching the exchange. He felt pride and relief. Nira had faced the council with bravery and wisdom. The child in her arms was not only a miracle but a bridge between two worlds. He knew that the future would be different because of what they had achieved. Nira returned to his side, smiling. "It is done," she said softly. "They see the truth now. Humans are not weak, and we are not limited by what others expect." Leo nodded. "You have changed history today. This is not just your triumph, Nira. It is a triumph for all who believe in possibility and courage." The child cooed again, its small voice a gentle reminder of the life they had created. Nira held the child close, feeling warmth, hope, and determination. The journey was far from over, but the first step had been taken. For the first time, the council understood that strength was not only in control, power, or perfection. Strength was also in courage, creativity, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. Humans, once considered inferior, had proven themselves capable of extraordinary achievements. Nira looked out at the stars beyond the palace windows. They shone brightly, endless, and full of possibility. She knew that the future held challenges but also opportunity. With humans as allies and with the courage to explore the impossible, there was no limit to what could be achieved. The council had expected a joke. They had anticipated failure. Instead, they witnessed a miracle that would be remembered for generations. Nira had returned with proof that life, hope, and collaboration could transcend expectation. And as the stars twinkled above, Nira felt the weight of responsibility and the light of possibility at the same time. She held the child close, knowing that this small being was the key to a new era, a time when two worlds could work together, learn from each other, and achieve greatness beyond what anyone had imagined. The room, once filled with skepticism and judgment, now held quiet reverence. The Zorvian Council had been humbled and inspired. The future had shifted, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Nira smiled softly, feeling the strength and courage that had carried her this far. The child cooed once more, and she knew that the journey had only just begun. A new era was rising, built on hope, respect, and the endless possibilities of life. The miracle had returned home, and the universe would take notice. The child grew quickly under the care of Nira and Leo. The small being was unique, a blend of Zorvian elegance and human resilience. Its silver hair shimmered faintly, and its eyes held a depth that seemed to reflect both worlds. Every step the child took was a reminder of the miracle that had begun in the quiet human colony and now reached across the galaxy. Nira watched the child play in the gardens, sunlight dancing across the leaves. Humans and Zorvians observed from a distance, quietly marveling at the harmony and balance between the two species. The colony had grown, attracting scientists, explorers, and scholars from both Earth and Zorvian worlds. Cooperation had begun where arrogance and fear once ruled. "Look at them," Leo said softly, standing beside Nira. Do you see what we have created? Nira smiled. Yes, this child is not just life. They are a bridge between worlds, a symbol of hope and a reminder that respect and courage can achieve more than power or pride ever could. The Zorvian Council had changed. Some elders, once rigid and proud, now approached humans with caution but also curiosity. They had witnessed the miracle firsthand and could not deny its meaning. Other Zorvians who had once doubted humans began to study, learn, and collaborate. Trust was not immediate, but it had begun to grow. Nira took the child's small hand in hers and walked through the colony. Humans greeted her with warmth, and children laughed at the sight of the glowing being. Nira felt a sense of joy and pride she had never known. The Council's joke had become the universe's lesson. Life could thrive when courage, creativity, and cooperation were embraced. One day, representatives from other Zorvian worlds arrived. They had heard of the miracle and wanted to witness it themselves. Nira and Leo guided them through the colony, showing the thriving gardens, the human innovations, and most importantly, the child. The visitors gasped. They had expected weakness, simplicity, and failure. Instead, they saw life, strength, and unity. Nira stepped forward, her voice calm and confident. This child, she said, holding the small being up for all to see, represents what can happen when we do not underestimate one another. Humans are capable of extraordinary achievements. Zorvians are capable of learning from others. Together, we can achieve far more than we ever imagined alone. The visitors looked at the child and then at each other. Murmurs of astonishment passed through the group. For centuries, Zorvians had believed in their superiority, their control over life, and the limitations of other species. The miracle of the child challenged every assumption. A young Zorvian spoke softly. Princess Nira, this is incredible. We never imagined that humans could contribute in such a way, and yet here it is, undeniable proof. We must reconsider everything we believed. Nira nodded. That is all I ask. Reconsideration, respect, collaboration. This is the future we can build if we are willing to learn and work together. The child cooed softly, reaching toward a small human girl. The two beings touched hands and laughter filled the courtyard. Nira felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This moment, simple as it seemed, carried the weight of history. It symbolized unity, understanding, and hope. Months passed, and the colony became a hub for galactic learning. Humans and Zorvians shared knowledge, technology, and culture. Schools taught children from both species side by side. Scientists worked together on energy solutions, medicine, and environmental preservation. Art and music blended traditions from both worlds. The universe watched as the small colony became a beacon of collaboration. Nira and Leo continued to guide the child's education. They taught lessons about courage, empathy, and curiosity. The child absorbed everything quickly, demonstrating intelligence and creativity beyond what either species had expected. You are extraordinary, Leo said one evening, as the child practiced balancing on a narrow beam. You have inherited the best qualities of two worlds. But more importantly, you have the chance to shape the future. The child looked up, eyes shining. I will try, the small voice said, confident yet gentle. Nira felt tears well in her eyes. That is all we can ask. To try, to learn, to care, and to believe in possibilities beyond what others see. As the child grew, news of the miracle spread across the galaxy. Humans gained recognition and respect as a species capable of intelligence, creativity, and courage. Other worlds began to see humanity not as fragile or inferior, but as valuable partners. The Council had underestimated them, and the universe was learning the same lesson. On Zorvia, Nira addressed the Council once more. The chamber was no longer filled with arrogance and judgment, but with careful attention and consideration. Nira's words carried the weight of experience, courage, and hope. We have learned that assumptions can be wrong, she said. We have learned that courage, collaboration, and curiosity can surpass even the most rigid expectations. This child represents life, possibility, and the strength that comes when we work together. Let this be a reminder that no species, no person, is defined by what others think is impossible. The Council listened in silence. Some nodded slowly, accepting the truth. Others looked thoughtful, still weighing the implications of this change. One thing was clear. The galaxy had entered a new era. Nira returned to the colony with Leo and the child. They continued to teach, guide, and inspire. The child learned quickly. mastering languages, science, and culture from both humans and Zorvians. Yet the most important lessons were about respect, courage, and collaboration. The child grew not only in strength and knowledge but in empathy and understanding, a living bridge between two species. Years passed, and the colony expanded. Ships traveled between worlds carrying knowledge, medicine, and hope. Humans were no longer underestimated. Zorvians learned humility and the value of partnership. The universe began to change, slowly but steadily, guided by the principles that Nira and Leo had embraced: courage, respect, and the belief that life could flourish in unexpected ways. One day, the child, now older and more confident, stood beside Nira and Leo looking at the stars. "I want to explore," the child said. "I want to see other worlds, meet other people, and learn everything I can." Nira smiled, her heart full. "You will, and you will show them what we have learned here. You are the symbol of what is possible when courage, curiosity, and collaboration guide us." Leo placed a hand on the child's shoulder. "The universe will notice you and they will remember what you represent. You are the future." The child looked up, eyes reflecting the stars above. "I will try my best," they said, and in that moment Nira knew that the journey had only begun. The miracle that had started as a joke, a cruel challenge from the Council, had become a symbol of hope for the galaxy. Humanity had proven itself capable of greatness. Zorvians had learned to respect and collaborate, and the child would carry that legacy forward, a reminder of what could be achieved when courage meets possibility. The stars above the colony shone brightly, endless and full of potential. Nira, Leo, and the child stood together, knowing that the universe had changed because of their actions. The Council had been humbled, humans had risen, and a new era had begun. A new era of hope, cooperation, and discovery. Nira held the child close, whispering softly, "The future is yours. You will show the universe what is possible." The child smiled, small hands gripping hers. "I will, Nira. I will make it a future we can all be proud of." And with that promise, the colony, the child, and the two worlds stood ready to face the endless possibilities of the stars. The joke had become history, the miracle had become legend, and the universe had learned a lesson it would never forget.